It was just a puddle in the road, a simple patch of muddy water, but for her it became a defining moment. The sludge came from the asphalt, but the contempt came from above. And as laughter echoed from a luxury car, no one offered a hand. Yet what seemed like a private humiliation with no witnesses was, in fact, the beginning of an unexpected turn, because the world keeps turning. And sometimes it's in the quiet perseverance of the overlooked that the most elegant form of victory is born. The city was still waking up under a cloudy sky when Emily stepped off the bus. It was early, barely 6 in the morning, and the sidewalk still glistened from last night's drizzle. She adjusted her backpack and quickened her pace. She worked at Apex Plaza, a gleaming modern high-rise where the offices had artisanal coffee, but the sub-level restrooms still smelled of bleach. Emily was 22, with a quiet gaze that said more than her voice ever would. She had started as a cleaning assistant just over a month ago. Quiet, efficient, invisible, just as they expected her to be. The sidewalk in front of the building was pocked with puddles and dirt collected along the edges. She navigated carefully, trying not to stain the clean white sneakers her mother had washed the night before. That's when she heard the distinct sound of tires approaching from behind. A black, luxurious car, moving too slowly to be a coincidence. She turned just as the wheels hit a deep puddle, and a wave of muddy water erupted, splashing directly onto her. The impact made her stumble back. Her uniform was soaked, her face streaked with dirt. But the thing that stung more than the mud was the sound of the laughter. A high, cruel sound, a laugh she instantly recognized. Chloe Peterson, sitting behind the wheel, rolled down her window with a sneer. "Oops, watch it, hun. This sidewalk isn't a runway for paupers." The car sped away. Before Emily could even react, she stood there, frozen. She didn't say a word, she didn't cry, but something inside her, something fundamental, slowly broke. Chloe Peterson was well known, both inside and outside the building. A social media influencer, the daughter of one of the city's biggest real estate developers, she glided through the floors as if everything and everyone existed merely to serve her. Security guards greeted her with rehearsed respect. Receptionists avoided contradicting her, and interns knew a single disapproving look from her was enough to lose their ID badge. Emily had seen her before, but only from a distance. She knew who she was. She knew what she was capable of. But on that day, the distance between their two worlds collapsed, and the mud made it clear exactly where each of them stood. In the sub-level break room, as she changed her blouse, Emily overheard the whispers of other employees. "She's always like that. Thinks she owns the place. Poor new girl." But no one spoke up. No one wanted to get involved. On the floors above, Chloe smiled into her phone camera, posting stories with ironic captions. "Starting the day with some serious vibes," she wrote, laughing at her own joke. Meanwhile, on the top floor of the tower, Ryan Donovan was drinking coffee in his glass-walled office. The owner of the corporate complex, he rarely showed up in public. He preferred to observe from a distance. But in that moment, he saw the scene unfold. He saw the car, he saw the water, he saw the girl standing there, and he recognized something familiar in her stillness. Ryan had grown up surrounded by luxury, but he was raised by his grandmother, a former cleaning woman who taught him that dignity is a birthright, even when your cradle is made of dirt. He didn't know Emily, not yet, but in that instant, something about her ignited a memory, and he knew he couldn't ignore it. The damp uniform clung to her skin. Emily walked down the service stairs with careful steps, as if she could clean away the shame with silence. In the locker room mirror, she tried to rub off the stains with a paper towel, but the grime seemed to have settled deeper. Not just on the fabric, but in her soul. When she went up to the ground floor to start her shift, she noticed the sidelong glances of two receptionists. One whispered something to the other, and they shared a quiet laugh. She pretended not to see, pretended not to hear. In the restroom she cleaned every morning, she found a note scrawled on the mirror in red lipstick. "Tidy up, cleaning girl." No signature, just the scorn hanging in the air. She took a deep breath. She grabbed a cloth, scrubbed the glass until it shined again. Not for them, but because it was the right thing to do. At the same time, Chloe was riding the scenic elevator, posting another video. "You guys won't believe what happened this morning. I swear it was an accident. But it was hilarious." Her laughter echoed through the digital space, but on the other side of the screen, the comments began to change. "Is it funny to humiliate a poor person? Seriously? What's worse is laughing about it." Chloe didn't care. She thought it was just hater jealousy. After all, she was on top. She always had been. Emily finished her shift in silence. On her way out, she passed the still wet, now deserted sidewalk. She looked at the empty puddle, as if staring into a broken mirror. There was no one waiting for her. No camera, no applause. But what she didn't know was that someone from a great height had seen every second. The next morning, everything seemed the same. The same metal stairs, the same cold hallways, the same faces that avoided eye contact. But there was something different about the smiles. A silent, mocking air, as if everyone knew something that Emily didn't. During a quick meeting for the cleaning staff, her supervisor announced without looking directly at her, "Emily, starting today, you'll cover the sub-level and storage rooms. You're changing areas." It was the worst shift. An informal demotion. No one explained why, but the others knew. And some of them even smiled discreetly. At lunchtime, Emily ate alone on a bench in the back, surrounded by boxes of cleaning supplies and the smell of mildew. She ate slowly, staring at the floor. She wondered if she had done something wrong, if she should have defended herself, or yelled or cried. But all she had done was remain quiet. Meanwhile, in the penthouse, Ryan Donovan reviewed reports with a tense expression. His assistant entered with a tablet and commented casually, "There was an incident yesterday. Looks like someone threw water on an employee. It's all over social media." He didn't respond. But inside, something solidified. The image of the girl standing on the sidewalk came back like a silent ghost, and he decided that story wouldn't end this way. That afternoon, when Emily opened her uniform locker, there was a wrapped snack and a note discreetly taped to the side. "You are not alone. Keep going." She looked around. No one was nearby. She took the note with trembling hands. It was just paper, but it felt like a sanctuary. She had no idea who had left it, but she felt, for the first time since the mud, that someone had seen, and maybe cared. From that day on, small things began to change. The following week, Emily found a new pair of gloves in her locker, stronger, more comfortable. Then a small black notebook appeared with blank pages, except for the first, "Write down your dreams. They matter." She never saw who left them. But every time she found something, she felt that someone believed in her. Not out of pity, but out of respect. Emily continued her work with even greater care. She arrived earlier, left later. She wiped down floors no one ever looked at, organized rooms with a sense of purpose, cleaned windows as if preparing them for someone important. But she never expected recognition. That's when the biggest surprise arrived, an envelope sealed, addressed to her in a firm, confident hand. Inside, an official-looking paper, a full scholarship for a technical course in hospitality and event management at one of the city's top institutions. At the bottom, a simple sentence, "Your future doesn't fit in a uniform. Go." Emily sat on the floor of the break room, the paper in her hands, her heart pounding. There was no sender, but there was a destination. At night, she started attending classes. During the day, she stayed focused on her job. She came in with dark circles under her eyes, but with a new light in them. She learned about etiquette, management, and organizing major events. As she mopped the corridors, she listened to podcasts on entrepreneurship and hospitality. She swapped her earbuds for content. She traded self-pity for discipline. Her colleagues began to notice. Her posture, her voice, the way she now met her superiors' gazes, everything about Emily felt more solid, more complete. She didn't say a word, but she was growing, and the building felt it. Ryan observed from afar. For months, he had been silently monitoring every step of her progress. He had authorized the scholarship, the supplies, even a small but dignified change in her uniform. Emily didn't know, but every step she took was as if someone upstairs had quietly moved a piece on the board. And the truth was, the game was just beginning. Time passed, and like everything done without fanfare, the truth eventually came out. A security camera installed above the main entrance had recorded everything on that morning of the mud. Chloe Peterson's car, the puddle, the splash of water, the laughter. Her face wasn't clear, but her voice was unmistakable. The video fell onto social media by chance, shared by an anonymous employee who couldn't stand to see such arrogance go unpunished. At first, it seemed like just another scandal, but something in that footage resonated with people. She didn't even try to help. The girl just put her head down. That's not a joke. It's cruelty. The clip went viral in hours. Chloe tried to defend herself. She posted a story with a teary voice. "Guys, it was an accident. I was distracted. You don't know the context." But no one wanted to hear it. Sponsors dropped her. Brands scrubbed old posts with her face. Screenshots of her past discriminatory comments resurfaced against waiters, drivers, even her own less affluent followers. The veneer cracked. What was left was what had always been there: vanity without character. In parallel, Emily was discreetly promoted to the executive suite. Her uniform changed, her badge too, and now she walked through the same corridors where she once hunched over, with her head held high. In the 24th floor break room, she saw colleagues gathered around a cell phone. On the screen, Chloe, standing beside her father, stern with his arms crossed, read a public apology. "I apologize to the woman I offended. What I did was petty and small-minded, and I hope one day she can forgive me." Emily watched without blinking. She recognized the voice. She recognized the fear, but she felt no pleasure, no satisfaction, just a quiet, strange sense of peace. She stood up, adjusted the badge on her chest, and returned to work. Because what was for many an ending was for her just another beginning. That same week, a discreet envelope appeared on Emily's desk. No sender, no stamp, just her name, handwritten in a firm script. Inside there was a key and a short letter. "This is your new home. It's 2 blocks from campus. Furnished, no rent. You no longer have to cross the city to study. You deserve to arrive in peace." It was signed, Ryan Donovan. She sat on the edge of the old dorm bed, unsure whether to cry or smile. After so long trying not to feel, here was a gesture impossible to ignore. At the end of that month, during a small internal company ceremony, Emily was called to the stage to receive a special recognition: excellence in conduct, ethics, and professional growth. Ryan was in the audience. He didn't say a word, but his gaze said everything. Emily took the microphone with trembling hands. She looked at her colleagues, at the security guards, at the cleaning staff still working in the back, and she said with a firm voice, "I was taught that when people throw mud at you, they expect you to get dirty on the inside too, but I chose not to, because dignity isn't measured by a paycheck or a last name. It's measured by your refusal to fight with the same weapon." A soft ripple of applause filled the room. Nothing grand, nothing exaggerated, but for her it was enough. Ryan smiled. As for Chloe, no one spoke of her anymore, because those who live on appearances melt away with time, but those who are rooted can blossom even in concrete. Not every blow leaves a visible mark. Sometimes the deepest pain is the one we swallow in silence, so we don't lose the little dignity we have left. Emily could have stayed silent forever. She could have accepted the mud as her destiny, but she chose to keep going, not out of courage, but out of necessity, and without her knowing, that quiet persistence became her greatest strength. It became an example. Life didn't reward her anger. It rewarded her integrity. In the end, the world didn't change because she screamed. It changed because she insisted, and someone in silence paid attention. True transformation doesn't come with applause or spotlights. It comes when someone is treated as invisible and still chooses to remain whole. Because what defines a person isn't what they receive, it's what they choose to give back to the world. Emily didn't win because she took revenge. She won because she didn't have to, and that is the noblest form of justice. If this story resonated with you like it has with so many who have been through something similar, share it with someone who needs to remember their own worth. Like, comment, and subscribe. Because stories like this aren't just about overcoming, they're about seeing beauty where the world only sees silence.